What's going on, Bueller Buys? So today I want to talk about scalping on the 1 minute, but first off I want to go and show you guys how to get these lines first. And this is very normal in my chat, getting these lines. This isn't something impossible. This is the TA routine. And basically what you do is you start on the daily or the 4 hour and you just grab the tops of buyer candles, essentially. It's a lot more broken down in those videos, so make sure you go to that playlist first if you've never heard of it or don't understand what I'm talking about. But first off, let's start with this resistance over here, since this is kind of under current price. And it gives me a good starting point for my base. We'll go over to the top here, and this is just, by the way, to get the charting ready. The main breakdown I'm going to be looking at is on the 1 minute, but I want to show you how I'm getting these levels first instead of just shoving it all in front of you and saying, hey, just follow this. But here, grab the tops of all your buyer candles on the 4 hour on this first hump here. You always want to start at your far left, that's why I started so far over. And I'm just going to go as far as I can. Actually, that's pretty good. Current price is at 104, so I got a lot of levels around it right now that are important. And there are other levels you could grab too. If you ever see a wide range, you could always grab the halfway point, simply grabbing your fib tool, grabbing from level to level, and grabbing the 50%. Or, this is what I prefer doing, it's just grabbing the retest. So if you see price kind of pulled down here before bouncing, go there. There's not really one there. There's a small one there. There's a small one there. So if you really want to add those, you can. You don't always have to. I don't always add those. And then if you want to add recent price action, you can. You can see there's a clear level here at 102.70. From the old recent highs before we held this range and moved higher. And then I'm going to jump down to the 1 minute. You can go down to the 5 minute if you want to see it a little bit more clean. But I want to cover scalping on the 1 minute. So let's grab our previous day high, previous day low, zoom in, get my previous day close, zoom out, zoom in, get my previous day open. These are two really good pivot points, your previous day open, your previous day close. So those are all my previous day levels I want to grab. I'm going to focus on today now. And just to keep myself from tunnel visioning, let's focus on just pre-market real quick. I'm going to grab the pre-market low, which you can see is down here at the 103.80 mark. And then I got my pre-market high. This is where extended hours highs went overnight. This is where we opened today. This is the high. So I'm going to grab that. Zoom on over, and let's just focus on today's price action. So what happened? Let me zoom in a little bit more for you guys. So the only indicator I have on right now is the 9 EMA right here. So 9. The volume stats are just these you see up here. I have my range settings and volume stats. Sorry, I kind of brain farted there for a second. And then my average volume, which is still just the same as volume. The only difference is that there's a line that runs through it, and it's just an average of the last 30 points. So it just gives me a good kind of perceptive of how much volume is actually stepping in, because yes, 640,000 volume is a lot for AMD at this spot, at just this candle, but in relation to the previous two, it's not really that much. So overall, not as bad. And then when you get into the more middays, you can see it too. You can see how all these are above that line, and then as the line kind of peaks, you start to get more moderate volume, and then as the level starts to drop off from the moderate volume, you can see it starts to tangle with it again, but doesn't really stay above it too long. So you could say today is a relatively volume day. So decent volume, but not amazing. Okay, so not really ruining anything. But let me remove these because I'm going to need to look down here for a second. Alright, so sorry, one more time, let's zoom in. I pulled my volume up just so you could see it better. It is nice to kind of keep it lower, but let's zoom in and just see. So, price opens, right? Stock opens. What is my first rule? First rule. Do not trade the first 10 minutes. Just watch. So your first 10 minutes, you need to not actually trade anything. You just need to be looking at how everything opens, get the vibe, get the feeling, whatever you want to call it. But really, you're just getting the feeling for how it opens. At open today, we had a very big exceptional amount of volume with this long-legged doji. Think of these candles as sandwiches. And at any time you see stock hit these levels, you really want to look for two types of candlesticks: hammers and stars. Sometimes you see people call them shooting stars, shootings. Some people call them inverted hammers. Regardless of what you call them, you're basically looking for this type of candle but against support, or this type of candle flipped against resistance. That's basically what you're looking for bounce plays. And then vice versa, we're mainly just confirming with volume, and we're going with a little bit of side confirmation and guidance with our 9 EMA. So price opens, drops, we got 3 minutes in. What do we get on our third candle here? At the 102.70, a hammer forms, potentially showing us a very strong level of support where bears will need to take control before continuing lower. So if we ever see rising volume break under this 102.61, we know that there's a really good chance this continues lower, and we can probably take that for a really good trade with very good probability. Set your stop loss at this level or even at the low of the meat of that candle. Let's see what happens after that. So we get the hammer showing strong support here. So let's try to grab a solid line here just to kind of remind ourselves. And then what do we get after that? We get a level, or we get a candle that moves higher, another candle that moves lower, but doesn't really break the meat of the bone of this. Let's just remind ourselves there's a lot of support here. What do we get there though? We get pretty lowering volume from candle to candle, showing support hold. And then what do we get after that? We get rising buyer volume for 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in a row. Pretty insane. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. So now we're above, and I'll just highlight it, we're above opening price. So another good strong pivot point. So let's write that down as our second thing to add onto the list. Mark and highlight. I am amazing at typing. All pivot points. What are those pivot points, you might ask? You have previous day open, previous day close, current day's open, I guess you could say CDO, but really just today's open. Previous day high, previous day low, pre-market low, pre-market high. That's basically, and that's a lot of levels, but you use these in combination together to help you with these trades. So I'll just leave this here. I still misspelled highlight, Jesus. Alright, so go back to the chart. So after that ends up holding support, we get volume taking it above opening price, a very strong pivot point, and then what do we get after that? Pretty good volume size, but it is lowering compared to the last, and lowering again. So it's 2 candles in a row, we hold support. So 2 things we've been able to note in the first 10 minutes of the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 minutes have gone by the time this candle is done with. So now we're done waiting. We can get into any next opportunity we see because we've let our first our rule pass. Just watch. Mark and highlight all pivot points. Done. That should have been done before the first rule, to be honest. But as you can see, we hold support of that day's open. 10 minutes have gone by. What do we have next? Rising volume, showing buyers are accumulating as they take price higher from this candle to this candle, and it's not from nowhere. It isn't from here. It isn't from a random area. It isn't from where you think or where your emotions step in. It's from that opening pivot point, that very, very crucial area of support. That would have been awesome to see down here. We were awesome to see down here if we returned lower, but we didn't. We only returned back down to the 9 EMA. Sellers didn't have a whole lot of strength there. So they end up holding it, and yeah, some time goes by, but they end up taking it higher. A lot of people end up only going for scalps from, let's say, from here to here, or from here to here, in hopes of trying to get up to these higher levels, but they have zero plan on how they can actually get up that high. How can I actually have taken a trade that high? And a lot of people refer over to my Iron Hands video, and if you haven't seen it before, I would. But overall, scalping is very quick. You don't want to be in a trade too long, but I do want to point out all opportunities. So what would have been a really good trading opportunity? From this candle to this candle, getting in to a trade and holding a little bit longer until you got into the next trade. As long as your 9 EMA held, and as long as this support held, this was a good trade plan. Overall, from a scalping perspective, yes, you could have just got in from this candle into this candle and sold and made pretty good gains. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. But let's point out every opportunity. So you had one opportunity here on the bounce, another hammer bouncing on the 9. Price hits up the next level. It's a very good time to wait. Let some price go by, nothing really happens for a while, and price ends up going a little bit higher. So you can see, using just those levels, you get every bit of price action here. So if you're scalping on the 1 minute, if you're day trading on the 5 minute, man, I'm going to be removing that a lot. If you're day trading on the 5 minute, you can see we had lowering volume all throughout that push, lowering volume as we increase to here, and then look, where it wasn't so easy to see on the 1 minute, it was easy to see on the 5 minute. You can see another continuation with that same candle that we saw on the 1 minute popping up again on the 5 minute, taking the 9 EMA from that day's open. Again, we talked about how this was important. We talked about how this was important. We talked about today's open being important. And look how they held that with lowering volume and then pushing off of it with rising volume. They end up moving and increasing up to the next level. So again, yes, it was very ugly because you had a lot of wicks on each side of each candle, but this is still a very good example of what to look forward to when you're looking for a scalp or a day trade. Again, this is a video for both scalpers and day traders. I don't want you to think that scalping is the ultimate way of trading. I don't want you to think day trading is the ultimate way of trading, or swing trading. You know, when we're looking at the daily time frame, you shouldn't be looking at these things and thinking, all right, this is the only thing I should be good at. No, you should practice one of them for a while. You know, that's definitely not a bad idea. But you definitely should keep yourself open to all styles of trading. Don't be closed-minded in that aspect. But if these videos help, if you guys want to see more of these, more of a psychological talk with price action on the 1 and the 5 minute, let me know. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Let me know if you guys want to see other tickers like this, or other videos like this, or other topics. Let me know in the comment section. But I'll see you guys in the next one.